We proudly welcome you to the latest and always greatest episode of 6 Points and Football Things. As a caller to the Rich Keefe Show Monday night on WEEI dubbed this podcast, we now have to call this not Six Rings and Football Things. We have to call this the 6 Points Podcast, Andy, because until the New England Patriots score 6 points or more in a football game, the name of the podcast has to change. And I, for one, took the challenge, and I'm with it. They lose by 6 points. It's been a while since they've scored 6 points. Shutout Sunday, losing a game 6-0. That, of course, the final score between the Los Angeles Galaxy and the New England Revolution. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. As we pointed out, that was the final score between the Chargers and the Patriots. We joked before that we wouldn't have to be changing the masthead to 7 rings and football things anytime soon. But you know what? I'll wear that jacket of shame. We shall wear that crown of ignominy here on the 6 Rings and Football Things podcast. Whoa, but a sad state of affairs. Each and every week we ask here on the postgame show, the pod and beyond, how can it get worse? How could things possibly be more difficult? How could this team plummet and fall any further? And yet, despite their best efforts, they find new, interesting, and unique ways. Now we're going to hand out our...
Excuse me? What was that middle word?
New, interesting, and unique ways.
So you find them interesting?
I think I'm compelled by their terrible this year. Like I have more, but as I've said,
I'm bored.
It's
I want
rubber
Cam
picking on
Newton's Patriots back. I agree with Cam Newton on the podcast he was on last week when they were trying to get him to like snap and get angry, and they're like, "You sucked in New England." He's like, "Did I? Did I? Look at him now. Did I? Did I actually? Or look at him now?"
That is one of the tucked away in the lockbox of Patriots mysteries and secrets. One of them is it's not quite the same as like, why didn't Butler play in Super Bowl 52 and some of the other great mysteries of Patriots Nation. But you have to now even wonder more. What would Cam Newton have been like over the haul of 2020, a season in which I said the Patriots still should have sold off parts so they could begin their turnaround earlier and better with more draft capital. But what would Cam Newton have been like if he didn't miss those 2 weeks and get COVID? Because there was such a sharp contrast in his playing ability and style from pre to post. Who knows? But he's right. Did I really suck that much? No, because look at the bag of bones of a roster that he took to 7-9 on that season, making the likes of Demir Bird and Jacoby Myers honestly look like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy compared to what the Patriots trot out this season.
So using that comparison, before we get into the grades and the specifics of the here and now, we've been talking a lot of big picture lately and problems and fixes. So the WWE style of doing business, which is like, we're out of ideas. We got a pay-per-view. Let's just bring back Hulk Hogan. Let's just bring back Stone Cold.
CM Punk. Let's get Stone Cold. Yeah, somebody. The Rock.
So in 2020, the offense was more palatable. And even early in the year was good, as you said before. He took the exit. Remember, Cam said he took the exit to get snacks, and then when he got back on the highway, he couldn't catch up to his friends who were road tripping with him.
Yeah. I mean, we'll go watch that Seattle game again, the second week of the season. That was a phenomenal football game.
And we had 2021, where Mac Jones was a Pro Bowl rookie quarterback that led his team to the playoffs. What do those two offensive seasons have in common that the last two do not have in common?
Josh McDaniels as coordinator.
He's available, correct?
Yes.
Now, I know we're in this weird world of tanking, so you're not really actually trying to do anything positive, I guess, or that's what most of us have accepted. You know, as I wrote yesterday, embrace the suck. Just embrace the suck, get through 5 more sloggish games and get the number 2 or number 1 pick and move on. But in a world where you're not tanking, if you really are trying to win every game, you play to win the game. Wouldn't the WWE style of putting together a pay-per-view say, bring back Josh McDaniels?
By God, that's Josh McDaniels music.
Right? I mean,
what would Bill O'Brien say to the, honestly, like, I mean, you really can't,
Bill,
you can't have her
scored points in the last week. You can talk. If not, shut the F up.
Wow.
That's what I would say.
I wonder how Bill O'Brien, who's known to be a little bit of a teapot himself, would take to that kind of language, Andrew.
What's he going to say? He didn't score.
No, he didn't.
Didn't score against the worst passing defense in the National Football League.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was one thing that was oft overlooked heading into and then in the aftermath of the Chargers game. The Chargers statistically had the worst defense in the NFL.
Yes, and a coach who was on the precipice of losing his mind, and you didn't score on him. Gave that whack job egomaniac reason to say, see, I told you our defense was good.
Oh my God. Brandon Staley left feeling better about himself. Justin Herbert gets a dub for not even playing half as good as he's capable. And the worst defense in the NFL ran roughshod all over. The worst offense, I'm going to say now, not only in the NFL this season, Andy, I think this may be the worst offense these eyes have ever seen. And these eyes have seen a lot of football. You've watched a lot of football.
I
You
have.
can you I mean, like, we're just coming off and we spoke of it on Breaking Boston earlier, but it bears repeating again. You've got a game on Monday night where a Bengals team that supposedly should have its tail tucked between its legs because they lost their superstar quarterback for the season and a couple other guys coming off of injuries like T. Higgins and such. You put them out on the field against a team that just needs a 10-point favorite home win against those Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars to secure the number one position in the American Football Conference. And the Bengals come out there, ball out. Jamar Chase looks as good as ever. T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, giving it their best. And Jake effing Browning, who's got like what, 2 starts under his belt, looks like freaking Fran Tarkenton out there, moving, gunning, passing accurately. And the freaking Bengals, I know there was a Trevor Lawrence injury, which blows for the NFL at large, but hey, 2023, it's a hell of a football drug. The Bengals win that game and they score 31 points and the Patriots can't get an effing field goal. It's the worst offense I've ever seen in my life.
And you were going to commission an off-season study to look into why. I collected the money from you in advance and just said lack of talent.
That's it.
I think it's that simple. I really do. I think.
I tweeted that Monday. I think honestly, this is going to be one of those things where something's going to get unearthed inside, like hundreds of years from now. Whatever species is died, whether it's AI, aliens, whatever, they're going to look back on this season and go, how is it possible that this offense of the New England Patriots football team in 2023 was so bad?
You know how Bill likes to condescendingly and arrogantly say, well, pretty much everything. But in this example, I'm talking about when Bill condescendingly and arrogantly says in like March, when he's asked about his roster or his football.
Well, 25 years.
Turns out I checked. We don't actually have to play a football game until September. Like he gets, well, I'd like to use that tone with him. Hey, Bill, turns out, come to find out, you need actual talent to win in the National Football League. Your genius in coaching and scheme isn't enough. And they do not have enough athleticism and talent. And even some of the athleticism and talent, the Demario Douglases, who come to find out he was one of your better players, and Kendrick Bourne, definitely one of your better players, they don't have enough of it. They just don't. They don't. You say the Bengals still have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like they still have guys that can get open, catch the football, make some plays, like do those things. And their quarterback, whatever he is long-term, no idea. But last night, he looked like better than anything you have at the quarterback position.
Oh, miles better. Eons better, Andy. Even their tight end, Hudson, who I'd never heard of before, big guy, wears number 87. He was rumbling and bumbling, making some big plays over the middle last night. Doesn't matter. Like, it's just stupefying. But yet at the same time, as they lose Demario Douglas, it's stupefying. Yes, exactly. It's stupefying. You lose Pop Douglas for the second time this season. Kendrick Bourne is out for the remainder of the year. The offense, obviously, issues all over the place. And you've got, just
Stevenson.
Oh, now Rhamondre Stevenson, who should just be shelved for the remainder of the year. He should be gone for the rest of the year. He's got a high ankle sprain. Don't put him back out there. But on defense, you lose your 2 best players, and yet this is not the defense's fault. So when you say the New England Patriots are a bad football team, do please put an asterisk or like some sort of disclaimer up there. I had a friend say to me on Monday, like, well, don't be misconstrued. Don't be deceived because other teams' offenses don't really have to step on the gas or put it in 4th or 5th gear because they all kind of know if you get 7, 10 points or more against the Patriots, that's probably going to be enough. Yet still, you can see the effort. You got guys like like Miles Bryant playing out of position and still like occasionally making plays. Like the defense is trying their ass off. I suppose the offense is as well, but the split of results and then the emotional outpouring you're getting, like Devon Godchaux, just as Andrew Callahan shared with us, like just swearing and cussing and crying because I guess we have to pitch a shutout. Like this isn't effing good enough. Like what a shame. Ugh, what a shame.
I agree. It is a shame. And I do think they have more talent on that side of the ball than they do on the offensive side of the ball. More upside, more capable. And you could probably argue they have better coaching based on the way, not only with Belichick, but both Belichick's and Gerard Mayo and the way they've done their job in recent years. And, you can't, I know like some people like to put asterisks on what they're doing. And there's probably some truth to, yeah, we're not looking to win a shootout. As I said, when the Chargers kicked, when Dicker the kicker kicked his first field goal on Sunday, I said that feels like an insurmountable lead, and it was insurmountable.
It was.
But I like you give
Yeah.
the defense credit. I give them credit for. I keep saying fighting the good fight. Like I think that's what they're doing. They're fighting the good fight. They're trying. They're being professionals. Jelani Tavai said it weeks ago. Like we're professionals. We're going to show up and do our job. And
hats off to that guy, by the way. Like he's like, there's someone who's proved a lot of us wrong, or like,
absolutely.
Yeah, that guy, like he can be we will have time to get to this because Lord knows there's not much else compelling to talk about the remainder of the season, save for, I don't know, can the Patriots hold on to the second overall draft pick? Will they ultimately get to the first? Do they fall back? Blah, blah, blah. Jelani Tavai can absolutely stick around and should be part of the solution going forward. He should be one of the keepers and building blocks. But like I said, there'll be time for that in advance. Now we must go through the perfunctory portion of our weekly podcasting here on Six Rings and Football Things, brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, make every moment more. FanDuel.com/6rings to sign up today. And don't forget, hashtag FadeFitzy. You'd be rich by now. You'd be rich. Let's do the grades. We always go through offense, defense, special teams, coaching, and quarterbacks. We begin, as we often do, with the offense. Andy, they put up 0 points on Sunday. I'm just going to go ahead and just say F.
Well, I'm a little more positive than you.
They scored no points. I whether they got no Bailey bump.
The Chargers. This year, they've scored for the Chargers or the opponent a number of times. So you didn't throw a pick six. You didn't turn the ball over other than when Rhamondre got bent in a weird way and dropped the ball. So I give them a very, very positive D-.
I just wanted that pause to settle in there, everybody. Andy said he was the far more positive one. The D. See, I find a D- to be more insulting than an F, because it's sort of like, oh, look, I'm gonna just give you a couple extra points, but like a D- is just like, just give me the F at that point already. Like, let's just flunk me out.
Plus, in reality, most parents, you're grounded. D- or F.
You're not going anywhere. Anytime you come home with anything less than a C-, look, there's a plus in front of that D. Yeah, and there's a U behind that door. Get to your room right now.
So either way, this offense is grounded. But I also give them credit for the 40 yards that Rhamondre Stevenson was chugging along, churning out in the first quarter before he suffered that high ankle sprain, and also screwed my FanDuel bet of the week, which was 60 yards rushing from Rhamondre Stevenson.
Should have had. There were so many people that probably got screwed in so many different bets from Rhamondre getting hurt. Killed me. Lost a major fantasy game with that. Nobody cares about my fantasy team. Christian Kirk, obviously, Monday night, twisting his sack when he went up for that 26-yard catch. Oh, that's what he has.
Well, that's what it looked like. Was that ever confirmed by like a sideline report or anything?
They can't say like it. They can't use the famous line from Kingpin, "I think I tore my sack." But one of the famous football doctors on Twitter said that is likely testicular torsion.
Yeah, it that looked painful, but we've all been there.
Painful.
Sadly.
Oh God. I mean, all right. What's more painful? Christian Kirk's testicular torsion or watching another Patriots game and then having to talk about it? 617-779-79.
I think I would still take this. This beats getting,
having your
testes.
Oh God. But it's like, it's the metaphorical and sometimes emotional version of it. I give Zappe credit. He tried his ass off. The line faltered late, which did not do him any favors. 5 sacks allowed on the day.
Mike Onwenu sucked. Like he
was terrible.
He's the guy you want to hand 60, 70, $80 million to be the mainstay on your line.
I'm gonna rethink about that. Now like Trent Brown benched, Connor McDermott comes in. Somebody has to remind him, like, you don't have to just block until 3, because sometimes you have to block till 5, 6, and 7 as well. David Andrews had a tough day. I think Andrews in his post-game presser Sunday, like, this was like, he's been such a good trooper. He has been such a captain and a leader. I think all of this finally got to him Sunday as well.
I actually had him on my list of things I wanted to talk about in the second half of the podcast as we get into a Pat's Puri.
Yep.
I love David Andrews. To me, he is what a football player, a lineman, a captain, a leader is all about. An undrafted guy, what he's created. I even agree with him on the hip drop tackle. A lot of people want to ban that from the game, and he's like, you're banning everything from defense. If you want to still play football, you have to allow the defensive players to actually do something. I could not be more aligned with a player, I feel like, right now on the New England Patriots than I'm aligned with David Andrews.
Yeah, he's I feel for him, man. And he's such a good guy as well. And once you get to know the person, then you feel for him even more. Okay, so an F and a D minus. Not great grades. Oh, and by the way, Tyquan Thornton, you know what you did. I'm just gonna leave it there.
He ran for 39 yards down the sideline.
Yep. And then he had a long ball, hit him in the hands, which was obviously Bailey Zappe's mistake. He threw it to him.
Well,
so, he'll have to learn better.
Practice execution becomes game reality. We saw Mike Cadlick when Tyquan Thornton went to catch a simpler pass a couple weeks ago and it bounced right off his hands. That proves it's right. If you do it in practice, you generally do it in a game. He can't catch in practice. He can't catch in games.
All right,
Whose fault is that then? Who's to blame?
That's what I'm saying sarcastically. That's why sarcastically I'm saying Bailey Zappe, you know what you did. You threw it to his hands.
They say consistency is key. Tyquan Thornton's consistent. He doesn't catch the ball.
What would you say you do here, Tyquan?
I'd like to know that because I get when people compare him to Bethel Johnson, it is so disrespectful.
It's an insult. It's a disrespect. Yeah, Bethel Johnson caught a big touchdown in a playoff game.
And he had big kick returns. He made plays. And every once in a while, he ran so fast, it took your breath away. I have seen Tyquan Thornton do nothing impressive since August of his rookie year ended in training camp. I continue to say it. Somehow, they broke him. They castrated him. They took away whatever it was that made him potentially an impact contributor on this team.
I think he's not able to use his speed because maybe he doesn't have that sort of like innate processing, and he's probably thinking too much as opposed to just using the God-given gifts he has. He may just be here's my root tree. It's got like 4 like.
I also, and this is totally
branches.
unfair of me. I'm going to say something unfair. I just want to have a precursor.
Okay, good. All right, so there's a disclaimer.
Totally
it's out
totally
there.
Unfair. It's like when Parcells said no disrespect and then disrespect.
Right. It's sort of like, now guys, I'm not a racist, but, and then
This is the version of that. I don't think he has an ultra high compete level, to steal like that hockey phrase. I don't
think that's that insulting.
I'm questioning his sort of competitive character, so I feel bad about that. But I've also observed him for 2 years, and I don't think there's like a killer instinct in there, a dog, a Julian Edelman, whatever, however you want to create it. I don't think it's
I think the team lacks that at large. I think most of those people, Barmore, Godshow, Peppers, etc., those guys will cut your head off and drink your blood in front of your expiring corpse. Some of the guys on offense are like,
Yeah, I know. I agree. That's a problem. So you're saying offensive things too.
All right, that's fine. Well, I mean, just by association alone, I'm gonna get labeled an offensive.
We're more offensive than the Patriots offense. So,
all right, Terp, that was at 18 minutes and 30 seconds. If you could just take that out, please, that would be terrific. Okay, moving on. The defense. I want to see how high you go with your grade on this one. They gave up 6 points.
I can't go any higher. They played the 8th scoring offense in the NFL, a franchise quarterback, a guy that Adam Schefter told me is already in the Hall of Fame, has receivers. And I know the other team dropped some balls and different things, but I'm giving them an A. Their 2 best players watch the games like you and I do. Their 2 best players are not on the field, and they pitched a 6-point effort, an effort that they should win 99 out of 100 games, or at least
they should win. No, 100 out of 100 times. Over the last 3 effing weeks, they've given up 10, 10, and 6 points, and they have lost. As everyone, in case someone out there has never heard this, you should have heard it by now. The Pats are the first team since 1938 to give up 10 points or fewer in 3 straight games and lose all 3. We're talking before the second war of worldwide aggression. Before the second Great War, it has been since this happened. Never in the NFL, never in the Super Bowl era. Like, this is so effed up what is going on. That's why I go back to what I said earlier. To me, this is the most anemic and pathetic offense I have ever watched play football.
put it like that. It sounds kind of mean.
It is. But we're being... Hold on. Coming from you, sir. I find that interesting. Mr. The truth is never mean.
That's why I'll allow it. I'm not asking it to be stricken from the record. I'm just saying it sounds a little like piling on and bullying in December.
I gave him an A as well. And even if somebody wants to quibble with something and be like, well, they could have done this or they could have done that. Like, no, they they deserve even just for superlatives, attaboy points and morale. I want them to have an A.
They gave up 6 points. They were, I think, 4 of 14 on third down. They were under 2 yards a carry rushing the ball.
Under 2 yards. They gave up 1.2 yards a carry.
So, like, where would I think I'd be trying too hard if I said, no, I give them a B. Like, why? What? Tell me what they could have done better other than just pitch a flat out shutout, which they did in 3 of the 4 quarters of the game. The Chargers only scored in the second quarter on field. Like,
they shouldn't have allowed Herbert to complete that 29-yard pass at the end of the game. It's Herbert out. Like, come on.
He gets paid too. Actually, quite a bit of money.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I know. It must be nice.
Who's more overrated? Actually, a little comparison here. So, off topic, let's bring off air on air. Before we started the podcast, we were talking to producer fellow Terp about his other gig covering the Celtics, and the Celtics lost to the Pacers in the in-season tournament and everything.
Yeah, Terp, if you can hear us, hop in for a sec.
Yeah, so join the mix, Terp, or maybe you went to lunch. Oh, Terp's here.
I'm here.
So I think Joe Mazzulla has a lot of questions to answer as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. I think Jason Tatum, who's been anointed an MVP and a Hall of Famer already, has questions to answer as the straw that stirs the Celtics drink. I think some comparisons can be made to Justin Herbert, Brendan Staley, and the Los Angeles Chargers. And I know Tatum's been further. He's made the postseason, whatever. Whoa. It's not apples to apples, but I think overpaid, overrated, superstar, anointed athletes and head coaches who do their stars no favors.
I do agree in that sense, but I think Joe Mazzulla actually has had success where Brandon Staley has all this talent and hasn't necessarily had the success. But I do understand the comparison, but I think that's a little disrespectful to Joe Mazzulla because Brandon Staley is not very good.
Who will so by this time next year, will Joe Mazzulla be coaching the Celtics? Will Brendan Staley be coaching the Chargers, or neither?
I think Joe Mazzulla will still be coaching the Celtics, and Brendan Staley better be gone. I don't think
he will not be. He will not be coaching the Chargers.
Definitely be gone. I think there's a chance Mazzulla's gone too.
Now, if I would say this, if the Celtics
green eggs and ham, green eggs and ham.
If the Celtics were to get an early bump, Andy, like let's say they were to play the same Pacers that they lost to in the first round, or rather the quarterfinals of the end season. By the way, holy smokes. Did anyone else feel like they had needed cataract surgery or something was wrong with their TV when they watched the Sacramento court? What the hell was that with the blue and the gold and the gray? It looked like my TV was broken.
That was brutal.
Yeah, the Indiana court was crazy.
There's been no complaints from the colorblind people. Remember when all the colorblind people complained about
the Buffalo Jets Thursday night game? Yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't they were like,
it's green and red. Like the Bills look green and the Jets look red. What the F? I know. That's a good point, though, Andy. I do think Mazzulla, an early exit means Mazzulla's gone. He'll probably be around. Staley's gone. I think Tatum has obviously accomplished more than Herbert. And I think people see that Herbert
rings
should
they
be
have
able to
combined?
Not many.
Okay. How many MVPs do they have combined?
Tatum, he still has a chance this year. You will not be seeing Herbert win one anytime soon.
How many Hall of Fame careers do they have combined? That'd be 2 if you listen to the media.
Tatum's working his way toward it. Justin Herbert has a long way to go. Thanks for hopping in, Terp.
Hi, Terp.
All right, let's keep going with the grades because we got some other stuff to do. Special teams, Andy.
Special teams, I gave a gentleman's C.
Same.
They didn't really do anything. Behringer had a nice bomb. He did have that one shank 26-yarder, but overall had a high average. I like Bryce Behringer. There wasn't a lot going on there.
Nope. Don't even need to go over that one for much longer as well. The quarterback.
I went with C-.
Okay. I went D+.
Because he certainly didn't make any plays. He completed 50% of his passes, which in the calendar year 2023 is atrocious.
We're watching after we watched Jake Browning complete over 80% of his passes.
I mean, if you're not in the high 60s in the NFL, I don't know what you're doing, especially when you don't necessarily. It's not like he's throwing bombs on every single play.
No, but it's not. It's also not Bailey Zappe's fault that Devontae Parker can't figure out where he should put his second leg on a long 80-20 ball, as Parker likes to call it.
But it
And,
is his fault when he rolls out and throws behind Hunter Henry with it. Like, so those average
Yes.
out. I feel like you miss one guy, you hit one guy. Okay, we cross both those out in this statistical analysis. Bailey Zappe, I liked his attitude. I'm going to be honest with you. The smiles, there was that one pressure from Khalil Mack where he got up and he was like smiling and patted Mack on the, not Mac Jones, Khalil Mack on the bum. So I thought his energy, effort, and attitude were good.
Yep.
So
I'm giving him a lot for that as well.
Other than that, I mean, you know me, I think he's physically limited. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. So you got what you got.
Under normal circumstances and pretense, you would probably have to give a quarterback an F when the team gets 0 points on the day. However, I think a lot of what goes into the D+ and C- is sort of like the energy, effort, attitude, the moxie, the try hard. Again, he deserved. Put it this way, he deserved a better fate than what happened on Sunday, as did his defense, especially. And finally, coaching.
D.
Wow, we are way too like-minded today.
Well,
yeah,
because I've turned you into an objective onlooker of the Patriots from
the defensive coaches deserve like a B+ or an A- for getting, and the offensive coaches and Bill Belichick for helping put this team together. Although Belichick gets his flowers for the defense, but Bill Belichick gets a F-. Like the offense gets an F-, which is what drags the defense down to the overall coaching of a D.
And we also, suddenly people are realizing once again that Bill's an a-hole at the podium and sucks as a loser and is a baby.
We talked about it. Tom Kern and Phil Perry on their podcast went over it. Like all the respected media members in town being incensed over the way Bill Belichick treated. Mike Kadlick joined us on the postgame show Sunday. He was kind of offended by the way Belichick talked to Mike Reese, of all people, Mike Reese. And who was the answer to, Andy? Was it Chad Graff of The Athletic, or maybe it was Doug Kyde when the question was like, Bill, are you I forget what the question was. If it was, are you disappointed in the results, or what would you attribute to the lack of offensive output? How do you feel about it? And he just went, we're trying, sorry if it's not good enough for you. Like the pettiness of that answer was like, guy, this just come from a 71-year-old man?
Oh, he's the most unprofessional man that's ever stepped to a podium. He loses, question, the arrogance. But the thing that bothers me is I actually side with Bill. He's been consistent. He's been unprofessional and a jerk at the podium for 23 years. For 20 of it, no one cared. They giggled. They laughed. They said, I love how he bats the media around. Now they suck, and everybody wants to get their pitchforks and their torches and run him out of town. Well,
and he's like, all I've been doing is the same thing I've been doing.
Same thing. He's consistent. He's been a dink his entire career. Unprofessional. I would say he's been an equal opportunity ripper. He's ripped women. He's ripped Mike Reese. He's ripped, Burt Breer. So like, a-hole Burt Breer, super nice guy Mike Reese, woman, you shouldn't treat a woman like that. He's been consistent. He's always been an a-hole. It's only the reaction that has changed because he's 2-10.
Yeah, it's just
but it doesn't mean it's right. I've just had a problem with it for about 25 years.
Andy, do we think, let me ask you this as we wrap the grading section up before we get to Pat's Puri. Do you think we are with stories, rumors, thoughts of Bill Belichick maybe moving on at the end of the season with just what a dumpster fire of a season this has turned into? And that's almost being disrespectful to dumpster fires, because at one point there may have been nice things inside that dumpster before it caught fire.
They create heat. Sometimes you can huddle around and warm your hands up. There's some good value to a good dumpster fire.
Absolutely. I ask this. Do you think we're at a point now where maybe a Tom Curran or someone else, like if Belichick continues to compose himself this way, where someone just says like, Bill, damn it, we're all adults in this room. Like, we're grown men. We shouldn't talk to each other this way. Like, we are just trying to do our job. We're just trying to help tell the story of this season. We all know it isn't going well and you're not happy about it, but for F's sake, just talk to us like people.
Right.
Do you think I feel like somebody is going to blow on the media side.
I do. I don't think it'll be Tom Curran.
Will it be Giardi? Mike had some excellent questions on Sunday, and of course, he just had them all thrown back at him like he was a dum-dum.
I wouldn't necessarily project Giardi.
Could it be Bedard?
Certainly Bedard I would put as a candidate. Any columnist, Chris Gasper, Dan Shaughnessy, if they're in the building, isn't Shaughnessy on the McBride list of like
buddies he could always call up? No,
I don't
Shaughnessy.
think so.
No.
No.
McBride's on the hockey beat now.
Steve Buckley, I think, could do it as a guy who's been around this business for
I would applaud Buck for doing that.
as long as Bill has been around the NFL. I would like somebody to do it. Call an a-hole, like put him on the spot. Like he likes to push people into corners and sort of be a bully from the pulpit. I would like if somebody did it. I'm not it could 5 weeks to go. It could happen.
I love now that like I'm almost more compelled on tomorrow's episode of Six Rings and Football Things before Pat Steelers to bet on which media member we think blows up at Belichick more than I am the actual Pat Steelers game.
If I can pick two, I would take Gasper and Buckley.
Okay. So you're putting like Buckley at like plus 175, Gasper plus 250.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll take,
you know what? I'm going to put Curran in there too. I don't know. He sounds like
Phil. We should include Phil because Phil's done a really good job pushing back for a long time now on Bill subtly,
politely too.
He might do it subtly. He might do it like, Bill, we're just trying to do our jobs. I don't know why you have to seem to make this personal and emotional. We're just trying to treat this like a business. Maybe you could be a professional and do the same. I could see Phil doing that.
All right, so we'll put Perry and we'll put Curran in there as well. We should put betting odds. I'm sure they would not be not too pleased. That's what happens. What a season, everybody. All right, those are the grades. Maybe we'll actually put odds up on which media member blows up at Belichick before the season. What do you guys think? Were we fair in the grades? Give us a holler anytime. You know where we're at Six Rings Pod, at Jumbo Heart, and at Fitzy GFY. Brought to you as always by FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel, make every moment more.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on, let's save it. Let me just reset for the Pat's Puri portion. All right. And here we are now in the Pat's Puri portion of the Six Rings and Football Things review pod, a couple days in advance of Patriots at Steelers. I see we have a question on the Zoom call. Yes, gentleman from the South Coast, Mr. Hart.
Does it bother you and disgust you when a nose hair comes out your mouth?
All right, Terp. So once again, we're at 3, 2, 1. All right, here is the Pat's Puri portion. I mean, I'm one who every now and again on my long drives between the stadium and home or back to the studio, Cape Cod and beyond, every now and again I'll look in the rearview and I'll be like, oh man, I guess I missed that one, and then just have to pluck it, and then you get that.
Yeah, but what like you never like snort like Belichick, like clear your throat a little bit, and then all of a sudden a nose hair comes out your mouth?
That sounds much more like a you problem than I think a most people problem.
Oh, no, there's others. You're going to tell me that I'm the only person that occasionally and maybe just momentarily ago pulled a nose hair out their mouth?
I actually normally I know I have like a preset of responses or ways I could go when I hear something. I'm completely at a loss at this one. I have no idea where to go from. Does it ever bother you when a nose hair comes out your mouth?
So
but that's where we are on the season.
What would be more bothersome for Robert Kraft? A nose hair came out his mouth. His team is 2-10, or tickets for his team's home games against star opposing quarterbacks are going for like $10 on the secondary market.
It actually went down. It bottomed out at 2 for $10, $5 a ticket. A few minutes before, people were so desperate to try to unload lower level tickets, the same tickets that are the same seats rather that your son, who went to the game in the 300s and finished in the 100s, was able to get gratis. People were literally, before resale fees and taxes and whatnot, they were going for $5. Like, we haven't heard from Robert Kraft since the Germany game. Nope. And he may be saying auf Wiedersehen to a lot of people that are currently under his employ as well after the season. I would love to know. I really would. I would also love to hear like Jonathan Kraft just go off on the season as well, because you know that he's sitting on a whole powder keg of unhappy.
No, I'd pay $10 to see that more than I'd pay $10 to see the Patriots play, because he is a guy that could go off about a lot of things.
I mean, it's one thing. Teams go through bad seasons, happen, injuries happen, etc. But for your team to go from gold standard to laughing stock, to literally now be marching towards history, not the kind of Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions winless season history, but to be able to within half a decade go from Super Bowl to toilet bowl, and to have now statistically one of the worst offenses in NFL history, but with the same head coach that supposedly masterminded all of those marches towards history on the other side of things. That's what makes this so offensive, so upsetting, and so memorable, is the fact that it's not like this isn't like insert coach here from, wherever they grabbed him in the collegiate ranks or an offensive coordinator. These are a lot of the same people that coach this team towards the Super Bowl. Again, it goes back to your point. If anything, folks should ever highlight the value of star players and talented football players. This is it right here in front of your eyes.
Yes, and not just the lazy man's Brady Belichick. I'm talking about Brady, Gronkowski, Edelman, Gilmore, like the depth of talent that these teams have had over the years that some people sort of dismissed or missed at the time. And now we're talking about nobody. Now we're talking about a team where people were giddy about Mike Gesicki. Oh, good job. Good job, people. You got excited about Mike Gesicki. Ugh.
I mean, how many people would you like? I almost wonder, like, how many people on offense would you like to be like, listen, you can have the rest of the season off. Good luck next season. Take the rest of your money. And then just like, we're going to play practice squad guys. We're going to pick up some guys, just give them a shot just to see if they want to stick around next year. Gesicki, a bunch of these other guys are not long-term solutions or answers to any of your problems. Wouldn't you rather just see Pharaoh Brown get more targets than Mike?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Pharaoh Brown has like 3 or 4 plays that are some of my favorite plays all year. Obviously, the catch and run touchdown against the Jets, but just
one of the few highlights of the year, honestly.
Very few. But just a couple weeks ago, he blocked a guy well after the whistle and was driving him into I forgot who it was, but it was like an outside linebacker, and it was threw him out the club, Gronk style. Like, Pharaoh Brown has more highlights than most Patriots offensive players, and that's a sad commentary on and no disrespect to Pharaoh Brown. I actually love what you've done, and you've taken the advantage of your opportunities, but that's a commentary on everybody else on the offensive roster.
Yeah, she always is. All right, let's move on here in the Pats Pre. Bailey Zappe said that he stayed with the Patriots, actually, and turned down offers from other teams when he was released by the Patriots earlier this year. Now, that likely would not have been getting signed to other teams' active 53s. I imagine that could have been jumping to another practice squad if he wanted to, and was offended by the Patriots actually letting him go and putting him out there on the market for a while. What is it, do you think, that made him say, I'm going to stick around here? Was it familiarity? Was it just a lazy decision? Or was it, I've seen the starter, I think eventually I'm going to get mine here?
Indeed. I think it was the latter. I think he's a smart guy, and I think he probably saw the writing on the wall and said, now, he probably also didn't envision this being the year of the backup quarterback and everybody getting hurt everywhere, where almost any team you went to, you were going to have a chance to play as a backup quarterback. But yeah, I think he probably understood Max struggled last year. Not sure Mac's going to be able to make it through this year. Plus the consistency for him. I already know this offense. I already know this team in this location. So there's probably going to be an opportunity, and I'm probably going to be prepared to take that opportunity better here than somewhere else.
Just as we are recording this, Andy, word has come out through Adam Schefter that Rhamondre Stevenson did indeed suffer a high ankle sprain. The source from the team said he's going to miss, quote, a few weeks. We talked about it in the postgame Sunday, but it just bears re-mention or re-inquiry, if you will. Would you shelve him for the remainder of the season? I don't understand why would you want to try to get him out there for the Jets? Like, unless he really wants to, I'd put the option out there. Like, you want to just sit on the shelf, kid, get yourself better and get back at it next year, because he's truly one of your building blocks if you have one. And next year is his contract year, which is obviously going to be big for Rhamondre and his team.
Yeah, I would not play him. I don't see a reason to play him. Again, what if he comes back and you beat the Jets because he rushes for $175? Now you lose the number 2 overall pick, and like, there's no good for anybody with 5 games to play, and he's going to miss a few weeks. Like, okay, so like it makes zero sense. Zero sense for him, for the team, for anybody.
Couldn't agree more. All right. Next item up for bid. This isn't even really something we have to debate, but I saw in the Boston Herald today in the upper right-hand corner, where usually there's like a sports highlight of the day. It just said, Callahan on Patriots, burn this film. Just wanted to share that, like, that it was that bad that Andrew Callahan, friend of the show here, obviously, the worst offensive performance of the season. I think that's several weeks in a row where last week, Greg Bedard swore in his tweet when he said it was the worst offensive film that he's ever seen. It is pretty impressive that the Pats were able to follow it up by an even worse offensive performance, Andy. So give them their flowers for that.
I told you 3 weeks ago in Germany, I said, so this is what it looks like with the Patriots bottoming out. And little did I know they had yet to bottom out. They're continuing to fall. They're continuing to dive.
Is there a lower depth? Can we go further? I mean, you can't go further.
Yeah. No, I think there's still some room. I mean, you got shut out, so you can't score less. You can, I mean,
they can try.
Those games against the Cowboys and Saints were pretty bad because you were scoring for the other team, and you ended up.
That's true. You helped them score points too. That's good.
So there is a little bit of room for that to happen. I know people are calling for Malik Cunningham. I wouldn't go there yet. Timing wise, I don't think he's prepared, but also timing wise, give Zappe a couple weeks to fail on his own and then turn to Cunningham for the last 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, if you think he's now prepared, if he's had enough reps to get out there. Because I do think you don't want to embarrass yourself, the team, the organization by putting somebody out there who's not ready to run an offensive game plan, who's not ready to be on an NFL field as a quarterback for 50, 60, 70 snaps. So it can get worse. Hopefully it doesn't. Aren't they due to just have like a bounce? Oh my God, I can't believe it deflected off the defender and into the hands of Hunter Henry as he runs down the field for a 47-yard touch. Like, isn't there some good break coming?
You would think that there would just be something, just, a scoop and score, like you said, a bounce, whatever, like
something.
But you have to, it's going to be cold Thursday night in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh defense, obviously, they're currently a playoff team, even though they lost last Sunday, shockingly, at home to the Cardinals. So, it's, I don't know. Like, I wanted to get to this as well.
Will there be more Rivers or points by the Patriots at Heinz Field or whatever the hell they call that now?
That's a great,
3 Rivers.
Acrisure Stadium at Heinz Field at whatever the hell it is. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, we know there will be 3 Rivers there.
Will the Patriots score as many or more points than there are rivers that run through downtown Pittsburgh?
I'm going to say push. I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-3 battle between the Rivers.
As of right now, on our sponsor, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Patriots are a 6-point dog. We'll get to this tomorrow with our bet of the week. The under has already dropped a point to 30.5. It's opened at 31.5.
It's everyone be in the 20s.
Get in there now. I just can't see a world where over 30 points are scored in this game. I just can't.
The only way it happens is if what we just talked about happens, if like ugliness reaches scoop and score.
But Thursday night games typically go under in the first, last week's game, Cowboys Seahawks was anomalous. Thursday night games are typically an under.
Before last week, the all primetime games had been 75% unders all year. So unders are the primetime plays, the standalone plays. But the only way it happens is, like I said, like a kickoff return for a touchdown and then an interception return for a touchdown. But by the way, just thinking about the 3 points for the Patriots, not sure I love Chad Ryland kicking at the field formerly known as Heinz. Not an easy place to kick.
No, with the wind and the cold out there. No, not. I don't either.
Take the Rivers. Update my bet. I'm taking the Rivers.
Oh, what a world. Let's see. Last couple things, Andrew. We got Jonathan Jones. He is the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award nominee for the New England Patriots in the NFL. Good to see, as always. I think that's second year in a row for him.
Might be.
I had it a couple times, I believe. Great guy. Community leader.
Community leader, on-field leader. I like the way he goes about his business, too. Not real outspoken, but...
unless it's getting into a preseason clapback with Mike Kadlick over.
Well, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
See, that one of those things, like, people already sort of, like, had their radars, the hairs on their ears, and radars were up in the preseason. Like, I don't know if I like the way this is going to go. I got to take care of me and mine over here.
Speaking of congratulations to Jonathan Jones, by the way, for the
for sure.
But speaking of preseason and clapbacks, Patriots and reporters, did you see that a fan gave Phil Perry some Hershey's Kisses that they had made that said stink, stank, stunk on the bottom of them and asked them to give them to Mike Giardi?
That is tremendous.
Which, by the way, dead on with stink, stank, and stunk. Maybe a little mean for Bourne, but Stunk for the
Bourne has no stank on him. At no point this year did he stink, and I don't think stunk is the way he wants to be remembered. Though we have said here on the pod that we hope he resigns and gives it a go next year. Who's his quarterback and who's his coach? That remains to be seen. You mentioned David Andrews earlier in the podcast as well. Bear does deserve all the love and then some for being out front, being a leader, for playing hard, and also just being a football guy. Andy, I wanted to see if you wanted to, as we wrap here, discuss quickly the Zach Wilson debacle as I had it in my notes. Now, Zach Wilson, speaking of third-year quarterbacks having difficulty and getting into statistical trouble, getting benched, this would be, we would almost probably see a certain situation like this maybe pop up if Malik Cunningham's not ready and Bailey Zappe struggles for another week or two. The New York Jets, realizing that Tim Boyle shouldn't be playing youth football, let alone rec league or NFL football. Maybe he's just has XFL or USFL ticketed on him. Probably not. They want to go back to Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson is pretty much saying like, nah, I'm good.
It's
what
weird.
Yeah, it's, have you ever heard that? Has there ever been a story where a high draft pick who was drafted stunk, gets replaced by a star who gets hurt, so he has to play again. Then he stinks, so he gets replaced by someone who has no business being on the field, but is friends with that star quarterback, now being asked to go back to his previous starting job that he should never have had in the first place, but for an Achilles injury 4 plays into the season, and he's passing on the opportunity.
And meanwhile, the veteran backup that they had is now starting for another team and throwing for like 275 points and coming to the podium with a big smile, Joe Flacco. They could have had Joe Flacco still in a Jets uniform. So, no, I saw some players, I forget who it was on Twitter last night, being like, I almost really never heard of this. This is unprecedented. The players saying, no, I'm not going to play. I don't want to. I mean, I guess not on J.C. Jackson refused to play for the Chargers when they told him to go into a game. He didn't have his shoes tied.
Antonio Brown didn't want to play in a certain game, and then he decided to do shirtless jumping jacks in the NFL, which still might be my favorite non-Patriots Super Bowl moment involving another team this century.
But this is different. Those are in-game issues, like emotional issues. This is a team coming to you like Tuesday and saying, hey, we're putting the game plan together. I think we're going to go back to you. And he's like, I don't really know.
He said it's injury concerns. What is he keeping himself precious and prepared for elsewhere next season? What sort of market is he imagining? The only market Zach Wilson would have anywhere would be if he came back in and balled out over the final 4 or 5 games, threw a bunch of touchdowns, played competently. Does he not see that this is his final chance to improve and or showcase himself to other GMs and coaches? Like, this is very short-sighted by he and his team.
And I don't know about you, but a guy's on my roster who might at any point refuse to go in when I ask him to go in, like, he's hurting his marketability. Forget the playing ability. Just whether he's a competitor, whether like, you know, the old like Dion showed up at the combine and wasn't going to run, but he borrowed somebody cleats and ran a 4.8. Like, this idea that if you're a competitor anywhere, anytime, any place, any situation. Whereas Zach Wilson's kind of showing he's not a competitor. Like, the compete level, as we talked about earlier with some Patriots, isn't. I think it's a terrible decision by him, and I don't know why you would even advise him to do it. Or
he's getting bad advice from someplace. This isn't like, I don't want to play in the, stamps.com bowl because I'm a first round talent. This is your last chance to show people that you have a spot on an NFL roster in 2024, and you're passing on it. Good luck, bro.
Well, he's not a good passer.
It's the only good pass maybe he's made all season. Oh, all right. That's enough from the two of us. We'll be back tomorrow, everybody. We got a lot more to say. We got an awesome game to preview. Big game. We'll have our FanDuel Sportsbook Bet of the Week. Don't forget to sign up at FanDuel.com/6rings. Take advantage of their no sweat first bets, same game parlay offers, and so much more. For Terp, for Hart, for Fitzy, this has been 6 Rings and Football Things, heretofore dubbed the 6 Points Podcast, until the Patriots score at least that many, if not more, points in an NFL game. It's a presentation of WEEI, Odyssey, and 2400 Sports. We'll talk to you soon. Good job, everybody. Take care. God bless. And as always,
Go Panthers.
Yeah.